In Business Central, the analysis mode will allow you to add in fields from other tables and areas of the system. Providing there's a link between your data, that means you'll be able to pull more information into your reports or just for reference. In this video, we'll show you how you can do that, as well as a few different examples. Starting off here on the basic customers page, I'm going to enable the analysis mode with the icon in the upper left-hand corner. And whilst I have, initially, the same fields I do have on the page before I turned on the analysis mode, I can add more in. This is done by going to the tab name from across the top, add columns from, and then you'll be given a selection. There'll be some recommended ones, and there'll also be a top one for the current source. This means you can easily add in additional fields from the same page without doing any personalization. And other source will allow us to select anywhere where we can link the data. So if we start off with the same source, we'll be given a selection here of all the fields we could add to the page. You'll usually find there's quite a large amount. So I can start selecting these either one by simply selecting the line and pressing OK, or you can hold down Control on your keyboard to select multiple. Bear in mind, you can also use the magnifying glass from across the top to find a particular field. When I press OK for the first time adding in these additional fields, you will be given this warning here. Essentially, for best performance, Business Central will limit filtering, sorting, and pivoting on any calculated fields. You should also bear in mind that the amount of fields you add in could impact how long it takes for it to load. Once you've pressed continue, you'll be able to now find our new fields here on the right-hand side. Here I've just added in the global dimensions and our salesperson code. So we can reorganize, group, and work with these as required. I've added in salesperson code here. Now this is just the code, not the actual name of the salesperson. That exists on a different table to the customer table. But we can add that in just by going to our tab from across the top, add columns from, and whilst it isn't prompting us for the salesperson table whatsoever, we can go to other source. Then, from this drop-down, it will show us all the valid tables we could get to via the data we're using. And I can just start searching to find the salesperson purchaser table in this case. Then I can choose the field or fields I want to pull through onto my analysis mode. In this case, I'm just going to go for the name, so I can have the name of the salesperson along with their code. Data not usually accessible, now present on my analysis mode before I even start making any reports from this. So this is a great feature for those pages in Business Central that have codes, but not necessarily the descriptions or names to go along with them. Think your item numbers and item descriptions. Next, let's take a look at some reports we can build using these tools. If we go to a page like sales lines or purchase lines, via the analysis mode, we could add some extra information in here for some reporting. Here, we can start by adding in some of the additional information, coming up to analysis, add columns from, and we could add in things like the postcode or any address information from the customers. If I go to customer, we can select the relevant information. Here I'll select address, address to, and postcode. Now it does add these in all the way on the right-hand side here, so you may want to reorganize these. Since we now have more information, we've got more things we can summarize the data on. So I'll group by postcode. So you can immediately see our sales lines that are outstanding by postcode. And even show us some of our address information. Then we can add in filters, such as outstanding quantity, which just specifies how many units have yet to be shipped, and as long as it is greater than 0, we'll then get all the outstanding lines on our sales orders for shipments. So we can even go further and do things like group or filter by document type and document number. Like so. Next, on a page like sales orders, via the analysis mode, we could add in some extra information from the customer again. So I could see the outstanding balance due, and also things like the credit limit, data from the customers that could be useful for me just to be able to see on the page that before this feature wouldn't necessarily be available without some modification. Giving me some extra visibility where it could be useful. This is more so for data visibility because some fields on things like the credit limit don't really help too much. Something else you could also do on many sales and purchasing pages is add in references to the salesperson or purchaser's name. Well, we can add in the salesperson or purchaser code via personalization, or as I'm doing now by adding from the same table. The salesperson code is just a code, no way to get to the name. But if we add a column from other source, and from our dropdown, find the relevant table with the information we want, in this case, salesperson purchaser, we can find name from here and have that information included, which might improve our reporting transparency. And on pages like item ledger entries, for example, where we have a lot of codes or extra information we may want to include, we can then start adding in the information from other pages for things like the item description, the customer of the sale, the vendor of a purchase. We can even go as far as adding in lot and serial numbers for a particular sales, purchase, consumption, and so on. So we can make quick analysis perhaps of where certain batches have gone via our sales shipments. Start with our item description. We'll add in columns from item, search for description, and add this in. Then we'll just move it across to sit next to the number. Next, from the item ledger entry page itself, I'll add in my lot numbers. I'll bring that all the way to the left. And I'll add in from other source, customer, the customer name. Ordinarily, we would just have the source number, and we could also add in vendor for vendor name if we want to look at this from a purchasing perspective as well. In the same fashion, by going to other source and finding vendor. Now I can start grouping these by our lot number, and then potentially by customer name. And to make things a bit simpler, I can run a filter on my entry type to just the kind I want to see. So I want to see where my lots were used in assembly, consumption, purchase, sales, or the like. I can add and remove filters from here as necessary. If I just want to see where all my sold lots have gone, I'll set this just for sale. I've grouped this by my lots, and I can then see what customers and total quantities have been shipped of those particular lots to those customers. Giving me breakdowns of when, any document numbers associated with that shipment, and the like. giving us a comprehensive and easy to analyze breakdown of where our lots have gone. We could, of course, run any number of filters on this for item number to only see certain kinds of products and the like. And those are a few examples of how you can use the new Add Columns From feature in your analysis reports.